Welcome back to a very special edition of Repressed Humor Issues, where Dan and I are actually in the same room.
He's lying to you. I won't be in the same room.
In the same room.
No,
staring at me longingly.
Longingly is not the word that I would have
Look at
used.
this thing. It's foaming up. What the fuck did I buy?
That's what she said. Yeah, no, we're recording from my hotel room, not his hotel room, just so we're aware. He has a different room up in the hotel somewhere before my wife thinks even more is going on here.
I didn't even put two and two together. I'm like, why are you describing it? Yeah. Yes. I'm way up high, but I have no view. I look over all these like shitty fucking buildings, and it's just like, we're in fucking Chicago. Give me a good city view, not like the backside of an alley that looks over the plain.
So the good view from Chicago is anywhere that is not Chicago.
What's wrong with Chicago? Chicago's good.
There's no good views here. Everything's just random minutia.
Untrue. When I stayed at I'll shout out to IHG Hotels Voca, thank you. They gave me this badass room that overlooked the river, Chicago River, like looking past the merchandise mart, and I could see all the way downtown. It was so good. It was a corner room, and they upgraded me for, I don't even know why, but.
So if you've ever seen the green water that persists beyond when they do St. Patrick's Day in the Chicago River, you realize it's not as big of a deal as he's making it out to be. Definitely not.
Au contraire.
There are prettier cities.
Yeah, I'm not going to refute that, but I think for like a big metropolitan city, this is great.
There are a lot of prettier cities.
Name one that's not New York City.
Copenhagen.
Copenhagen.
Yeah, you can't fight that one.
That one's hard.
Yeah, that is a pretty city.
Yeah, Copenhagen's really cool. Yeah, but I don't know why. Chicago's always been kind of like a second home away from home that I've never lived at. Just because I've spent so much time up here throughout my childhood and working years. It's just, I don't know. I have a lot of friends up here. Food's good. People are great.
Skyline for skyline, Toronto. With the CN Tower out over to the airport. You get 10 miles inland and it's not as pretty, but that skyline is amazing.
Yeah, the skyline is really cool. That is iconic. And yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of a better, now that's interesting. Skyline is way different. Like, what's a better skyline? There's got to be a better skyline.
So I don't think New York's skyline is all that pretty. It's pretty industrial at this point.
Well, it's just so many buildings. It's not really a defined skyline anymore.
You lose it in the minutia, except for the one spire or whatever they call it.
Oh, the One World Tower.
Yeah, which is
or
just...
One World Trade Center.
Which is just, it's not the same as a skyline. It's a building.
Yeah.
Detroit, if you don't mind the fires and the decay.
Well, there's that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's interesting because, like, I lived in Austin for a number of years, and when I arrived, it had skyscrapers and stuff like that, but it didn't really have, like, too much of a semblance of a skyline. And now, fast forward, I think they've put up, like, 51 skyscrapers in a 9-year period or something crazy like that. It actually has a pretty cool skyline now that's forming, that's still evolving, like... Right now, I think there's 2 buildings that are going up, and one of them will be the tallest one in Texas. So it'll be a transformative skyline soon, but I think it'll actually have a semblance of a skyline the way they've laid out the city.
So what you're saying is Texans are so ostentatious that in the 115-degree weather they have there, they want to get closer to the sun.
Never thought about that way. Yeah.
That perfectly makes sense for Texas.
Yeah. Build everything bigger, taller, hotter.
Yeah, well, Ted Cruz helps to keep it hotter as well and kill more people in the winter. But hey, Ted, bye.
Today's been a little bit of an interesting day. I mean, we had our work session, which went really well, but I think like if you peek outside of our little work envelope, some pretty significant rulings happen today.
Oh, you want to go there?
Well, I'm just saying because I just read about it. Well, like, it, I'll say the phrase that was on a Twitter post from a guy I follow. I'm not going to give him a shout out because I generally disagree with him, and I just read his shit to make me angry.
So my Twitter feed is what you're saying.
Yes. No. I think we see more eye to eye. This guy's just, I think, contentious to be contentious. But he said, "All hail King Biden." I mean, is that really how far this new ruling stretches?
So before we get too far, we should explain to the people that may be overseas or did not see the ruling. The ruling today is that the president, for official acts, has immunity. The president, for non-official acts, does not have immunity. And for the most part, it's hard to disagree because how does the president function if he doesn't have immunity in his job? Because, as has rightfully been said, as soon as he's not president, he can be investigated for presidential acts. Yeah. The entire idea was Trump did things that were unpresidential, outside of official acts, that he should be scorned for, he should be prosecuted for.
Sure.
But the fact that they said today in the Supreme Court ruling that Donald Trump, aka the president, has immunity from presidential acts is problematic in some ways because of something that I've heard said a long time ago that really strikes home now. The president can now authorize to use SEAL Team 6 to take out his political opponents, and there is no recourse for it.
So why would Biden not issue a drone strike on Mar-a-Lago?
That's exactly the point that they're trying to make. And I think what we have to look at is a presidential act any act that takes place in the furtherance of the position of president, or is a presidential act any act that a president does that is in service of the country at any time. So let's take that.
And what's the definition of service?
And that's where the SEAL Team 6 thing comes in, is simply that would be a non-presidential act because he would be acting in his own personal best interest, not the country's. And I think that's the part that we have to figure out because the Supreme Court's been weird with the Chevron decision and the bump stop decision and the homeless decision.
The homeless one was weird.
Yeah. We don't know how far they're willing to take this as absolutists to be able to say, yeah, if Biden goes and kills Donald Trump on Fifth Avenue with a gun in his hand and does the Biden smirk afterwards, just turns to the camera, gets that coy little smile, and walks away, can he be charged?
What if he opens it with Donald Trump, official government business? Pop.
See, and that's where it depends on whether it's an official government act. Now, I would say any way that anybody does damage to Donald Trump's chances to become president, I'm saying this very carefully because he is ex-president and I don't need the Secret Service coming after me.
No, of course not.
So we'll leave it pretty liberally at that. But any way that Donald Trump can be stopped, then I'm okay with that. My bigger issue, I realized that the Supreme Court ruling was huge, but we haven't talked about the debate since the debate happened either.
I mean, you watched it, yeah?
I did not watch it. I watched snippets of it on Twitter, and I could only get to about the 15-minute mark, and I had to walk away.
So I endured the entire thing up to closing remarks, and I turned it off at closing remarks because I felt ashamed of like what we had in front of us as options. Like, this is the best we could do as a country. And, you know, I'm not big on like, ooh, America's so great. Like, I love being here. This is a great country. But I don't know. It was strange. Hearing Trump speak when he first started, I'll say this, and this is not in defense or support of him. He sounded good when Biden sounded pathetic.
So here's the take I'm going to put on it. Okay. First of all, the debate changed nothing from who's going to vote for who.
No.
Okay. Anybody that was listening to it that said Trump's a liar beforehand does not say, oh, Trump's telling the truth now. Anybody that said, I support Trump 100% didn't support Trump any less.
Well, here's what I'll say, though. I do think it changed something quietly for the Dems. So I think anyone that was writing the line of like, I don't know who to vote for, but they're still Democrat, they're not going to vote Trump. But I think those people are going to be a lot more willing or inclined to write in a candidate or even look to an independent, which sucks from a Democratic ticket standpoint if that happens, because that's literally throwing votes to Trump.
Yeah. And that's where I listened to RFK on NPR the other day, and he's just argumentative. I don't know how people can vote for him because whenever he's questioned about what his platform is, he just argues.
Mm-hmm.
He's complained that NPR hasn't shown up at his rallies, but he doesn't do all that many rallies. What he does is he just pops up places, talks to people, and then disappears. Yep. But he blames his lack of exposure on them. He blames his lack of being on the debate stage on the debate rules, the DNC, the RNC. He blames everybody else for everything, and he's not willing to blame anything on himself. If you listen to that man for more than about 5 minutes, you realize he's completely hollow. And he sounds older and more pathetic than Biden and Trump.
Yeah, but cognitively, at least he's a little bit more with it.
Mr. Brainworm guy?
I mean, just how he speaks, it's not eloquent or anything like that, but it's put together more so than Biden was.
But everything that I hear is argument out of him. No. This is what I can do for the country. It's I can be better for the country because everybody else is worse than me.
Yeah. I'm not saying he delivers a plan or concrete substance, but just from an optics standpoint, he presents a little bit better. I'm not a fan of him, to be clear. But, when
he's the only... he considers himself a moderate. We know he's a conservative.
Yeah.
Okay. But he's the only candidate that is out there. He's only qualified for like 9 states at this point.
Right.
Okay. So he can only make so big of an impression unless he can get on more states. And most of the states he's gotten onto are red states anyways.
But just imagine if he fucks up one swing state.
Well, there's the Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, even for some reason Minnesota's apparently in play.
Yeah, I saw that.
But I think the bigger thing, to continue on the point we were originally talking about, is there's a lot of concern for Biden's ability to rule that it didn't change people saying, I won't vote Democrat. It made people say, oh shit, Biden's not going to be here 2 years from now. We are electing a placeholder until Kamala becomes president. And that's where they get worried because there's very little support for Kamala as president and every other alternative they have. Gretchen Whitmer. I can't even name other names.
There's not. I mean...
They poll even lower than Kamala does.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I think Kamala's a really unfortunate option. And I hate saying that, but I really, truly believe that she's lost her way as soon as she became vice president. Like, she was better as a congresswoman, better as a DA, more effective, vocal, and like really poised. Yeah. And then she steps in to be a VP. And she's like not even going down to the border, and that's one of her things.
Yeah. I think the more interesting scenario is, does Biden not take out Trump simply because he can beat Trump versus if the Republicans put somebody else in that place, that they've just murdered Trump? that he can't beat anybody else that would replace Trump. I'd worry that he couldn't beat anybody else. I worry that he's going to have problems beating Trump, but anybody, a moldy sock would pull better than Trump right now. The problem is a moldy sock would pull better than Biden right now. What are we going to do in this where we have two essentially octogenarians that obviously aren't in the best health?
Yeah.
That we have to choose from for the next 4 years of this country.
Well, I mean, a few things on that. Like, I think where I got the most concerned, and I know it was the lightest heart moment, I'm using quote fingers, was when they're talking about their fucking golf game and like measuring each other's dicks on stage. Yeah. It was just like, Jesus Christ. Like, but I think to commend Biden on some level, like, sure, love him, hate him, disagree with him, want to throw him in jail, whatever, be your opinion, whatever it may. He served this country, and he served it for a very long time.
Yeah.
I contend, and this is my opinion, not yours or the show's or anything like that, but he should do one final bit of service and step aside for the country.
And I honestly don't know at this point, because it's not like Trump is going to step aside with the numerous problems that he has, that he shouldn't even be allowed to run in this election based off of the felonies he's been convicted of. The next option isn't that great beyond Biden. You know, you can't bring in an Adam Schiff. You can't bring in a Cory Booker.
No, but I think and I don't like it, but I think it's like Gavin Newsom.
But even Gavin Newsom doesn't poll that well outside of California.
No, he does not. He is not. I mean, he's just another rich dude.
Yeah, and the problem is a governor that doesn't travel visibly has problems getting elected in a presidential campaign. And I think his only saving grace would be the absolute anti-Trump vote. The question is there a Trump vote that can be pulled back towards the Democrats by having somebody else there?
Yeah, and I don't know, but it is curious. Newsom was in Georgia the night of the debate.
Yeah. So.
But I think I will say this, and then we can move on, because I've belabored this one, and this is on me. This time I'll take credit. I would
Credit.
Well, whatever. But I would love it if Biden did step aside and Michelle Obama stepped in. I'll just say that.
Yeah, that's a interesting play. You're going to rile up the right because all of a sudden it's Obama administration 3.
Yep.
Which they already say Biden administration 1 was Obama administration 3. But there is, first of all, a continuity there, and there's a capability there. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
It's a matter of, does she want to? Because she's seen what that did to Obama for Barack for 8 years.
Yeah, he aged hardcore.
A lot.
But, you know, if there's, I really can't think of somebody in this political sphere that could be more country unifying than somebody like her.
Yeah. Okay, so let's change topics here.
Yes.
I had an interesting thought a couple of days ago, and we have not prepped for this whatsoever. But I'm going to ask you, and then you can ask me the return question. If you could go back in time and kill one person, any person from history, who would it be and why?
Ooh. I mean, like, the obvious knee-jerk is Hitler, right?
Yeah.
But even though that's probably the right answer, I think I want to try to dig a little deeper with this one. So, I am so dumb in my brain. And I just think of really stupid things. But maybe... this is harder than I thought, but...
Yes, it's a brain teaser because everybody automatically wants to go to Hitler. And we're not worried about time paradoxes and all that sort of stuff. We're just talking...
Okay. Actually, so, that's a qualifier I needed to know.
Yeah, and it's not you're killing Hitler as a baby. You can go and shoot Hitler in the field in World War I and whatever.
Okay.
I did not qualify that you had to kill that person as a baby. It would be interesting, but...
Okay, so there's no time continuum rule here.
Yes.
This is just eliminating somebody. Ooh.
Yes.
Okay, okay. So I will maybe like somebody really off-putting, like Cleopatra.
Okay. Explain why.
Because somebody that was so revered for not necessarily, we're basing this off of what we read off of hieroglyphs and trusting that people that translate them are telling the truth. She was revered for beauty, not like leadership and stuff like that. What if that figure was never a thing and we didn't have this beautiful aura to worship through the ages where she's still referenced today? Would it have affected things like modeling, advertising, marketing, where beauty and kind of the sickly model type was the standard that everyone aspired to be? Like,
So let's just talk about Egypt in that time frame and talk about what that would have created from a vacuum perspective.
okay.
Okay. Her ceasing to exist in that realm really would have had no impact because they were used to people dying at young ages in Egypt at that time. So you're not really creating that much of a vacuum. Yeah, it's a little bit, but there was really good succession lines back then.
Sure.
Okay. So I don't think all you do is you erase that from history.
Yeah, but that's and sure. Anyone can make the argument that somebody else would have been Cleopatra, right? But she's the one. So for today's standards, that's where my brain goes. Like, would it have changed the course of things if there was no kind of female pinnacle of beauty in her? I mean, you could also say like the one that launched 1,000 ships, but we don't know if that was real or fake.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Helena of Troy, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But I think that might be mythology as well. So
No, the walls of Troy exist, so there's a possibility that that's true.
But it's like she was supposed to be like the most beautiful woman, but Cleopatra's like the documented one that has a tomb and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, I don't know.
I think to think that it would have had an impact in advertising today, where somebody else just would have been, like you said, the different Cleopatra. That's something that we have to take through if we play this out. Okay, because the person that I would kill, to be perfectly honest with you, is Franz Joseph.
Who?
Franz Joseph was the father of Franz Ferdinand.
Why would you kill him?
So let's play this through.
Okay.
Franz Ferdinand was shot by Gabriel Princip in Sarajevo in 1914 that launched the First World War.
Oh.
Okay? Now, his father, Franz Joseph, had been around for way too long, was way too old to keep on reigning. Okay? And had held his son back from taking over the reins. Then eventually died after his son died, but that's another story. If you take him out earlier in his life, then what ends up happening is all of Austria-Hungary, the history of that changes because Austria doesn't go to war against Russia. Okay, in the Austro-Russian Prussian War, they probably don't align because they were a nation of many nations. They're not going to align with Prussia in the early 20th century, which means the whole idea of Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie getting shot in Sarajevo ceases to become a storyline. The First World War doesn't happen.
Probably Second World War doesn't happen.
Well, that's the thing. We don't get a rise to power of Hitler.
Yeah.
Okay. We might have seen more regional conflicts as the Ottoman Empire continued to crumble and the Armenian genocide.
Right.
But what happened in the Middle East would change too, because remember, the British and the French carved up the Middle East into spheres of influence after World War I. The Treaty of Versailles never happens. Okay, then yes, we don't get to World War II. because we don't get to World War II, we may not have even had the collapse of the Russian Empire, the Tsarist Russian Empire, which means that the Bolsheviks never would have come to power.
You never had Berlin Wall or anything like that.
That's the thing, is the ripple effects of that one moment. Now you could say, why not kill Franz Ferdinand just at a different time? But if you kill Franz Joseph, it's less likely that everything that happened up to the point that Franz Ferdinand was killed.
You've put too much thought into this.
Well, of course I put too much thought in it. I mean, I went for the obvious. I thought Fred Trump. Okay. That alleviates an entire life cycle in this. And Fred Trump was not a good person.
No, he was not a good person.
And he did not procreate great people either.
No, they're definitely not beautiful.
Okay. You could say take out Hitler's mother. But Hitler's mother didn't have anything to do with what Hitler became.
No.
Hitler's stepfather had more to do with it than anything. And killing him isn't going to really stop the First World War from happening, because here's the thing. Hitler didn't start the First World War. He just fought in it.
Right.
He started the Second World War because of what happened in the First World War. Hitler was created out of the Second World War. Killing his stepfather is not going to stop that whole pattern from occurring. But you go just a little bit farther back in time. What if you take out a Napoleon? Or what if you take out...
I thought about Napoleon. I also thought about, like, even, I don't know, like Stonewall Jackson and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. There's lots of people that you could take out from the Confederacy. But if Stonewall Jackson wasn't there, or if any of the other major players
like
in the
Lee or something like that, yeah,
there still would have been enough people to fill in that gap that it would have still happened the same way that it did, because it wasn't one person that started it. The First World War...
Those were like little pockets.
Yep. The First World War was started based off of the killing of Franz Ferdinand that wouldn't have happened if Franz Joseph had been killed earlier in his life.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I mean, there's so many weird ripple effects, because, I mean, you could take that beyond war, you know? You could take that, like I kind of did, to the popular realm and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, what if certain pioneers didn't exist, like Walt Disney?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it just opens up like a weird can of worms in my brain.
Well, I got a better one. Genghis Khan.
Yeah, that was another one that I thought of, because he murdered, tons of humans.
Well, but not only that, they say that about 1 in 10 people alive today has Genghis Khan DNA in their system.
I knew I was evil for a reason.
Oh, I thought you were just evil because you failed clown college. You're a break bench.
How many times do you use that today?
Oh, a bunch. I purposely used that because our boss was there when we came up with that.
Yeah, he did enjoy that.
Yes.
But
I also got to see our boss holding his legs together, shivering a little bit when he had to, as he put it, Control P.
That was so funny. Yes. But not as funny as the way he eats Pringles. Oh my God.
Yes. I don't know what got you on to looking at that, but go ahead and tell that.
So, like, I'm sitting there just trying to participate in this meeting, and he's eating these Pringles in the noisiest way possible, like out loud, smacking lips, crunching as loud as possible. Now, I don't know how you eat Pringles, but I think we probably all eat Pringles the same way. One whole chip minimum at a time.
Yep.
Because it's the shape of your tongue. It's perfect. It goes right in there. And, you know, if you're really evil, flip it and then crush it with the roof of your mouth. He takes 4 bites of every chip.
Yes. And so I saw your face when you saw that, and I didn't realize that's what you were looking at, but you were losing your shit.
I couldn't keep it together. And it was like, you thought I was probably laughing at something you said or did or something. I don't know. Or something I saw on my phone.
Yeah.
No. It's just his, like, almost childlike behavior with this chip. And he had so much joy in his face, too, while he's eating these Pringles. But the noise, I couldn't get past the noise.
Well,
it just was so, like, fragile but crisp.
I do eat Pringles all one chip at a time because I've never found a way that I can bite a chip that doesn't make sub chips.
But he was perfecting that.
Yeah.
Like he had no crumbles, nothing fell apart. He knew exactly where to bite each one. And I mean, we all kind of like took a second to acknowledge it because it was so fucking funny.
It is weird to see the person that signs for your paycheck having invested that much time in how to eat a Pringle in a way that doesn't leave the shards all over the place. Because it's hard enough to get the Pringle out of the can without leaving shards.
It was so funny because he just had them holding like in the pocket of his hand. He's just holding the stack and just eating them one by one. He had like one of the miniature cans.
Yep. And then if you remember the other person that we had here there today, we're not going to mention names, but he opened a thing of Pop-Tarts, and what did he do?
Oh, broke both corners to eat two at one time.
Yes.
When I said, "You're a monster,"
Yes.
It's like within seconds.
I mean, who taught these people to eat like that?
I don't know, but like that was two foodisms that I was like, no.
Yeah. And it's just, it was weird. And we had a full conversation about Pop-Tarts.
Yeah. Which I like that they were willing to lean into our little wells of bizarre almost eagerly at some points throughout the day, which is good.
Yeah, we got a little giggly by about 4:00.
We were going over some heavy stuff, to be fair, for a long time, and we kept it together, but then I think we were all like, woo-hoo-hoo.
Yeah. And I was just trying to keep us in the meeting until 5:30 when we could all leave, but I should have probably ended it at about 5:00.
I think we did okay. Like the last bit of stuff we went through was actually very productive, and I think some really cool ideas popped out. And I think I wish more companies could do sessions like we did, because I don't think enough companies take time to step back and smell the roses. And if you don't like it, reset.
I think the problem with that scenario is, are there that many Pringles in the world that you could get away with that?
That cabinet's very full.
Okay.
I don't know who went to like jumbo Costco to get that size, but I've never been to a Costco that has that many miniature Pringle cans.
Yeah, it's all the miniature ones too, because I ate a thing of them earlier in the day. And here's the dirty secret about Pringles. They have cut down on the amount of salt by about 95%.
So they just taste like cardboard?
They're harder to eat because they are just, you're eating pressed potato chunks.
I guess that makes them healthier?
I don't know, but I used to crave the salt and vinegar Pringles.
Yeah, oh my God, that's the best flavor.
And they don't taste like salt or vinegar anymore.
What's the point?
They just taste like carbohydrates.
I mean, I love a good carb, but we had too many carbs tonight, though. My God.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus, deep dish pizza.
Okay, but let's be honest about that pizza.
Wasn't that good?
It was not deep dish.
What?
Okay.
What do you mean?
Deep dish is supposed to be about 3/4 of an inch to an inch deep.
Oh, I mean, I think that was deep dish, but it was just a soupy mess, though. Like, they needed to cook it just a bit longer.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
I
think they just rushed it because you started giving your dishonest, I appreciate you, to everybody that was coming by our table.
Did it come off sarcastic?
Yes, it came off sarcastic.
Sometimes it does. If I'm hungry and I'm feeling a certain way.
The amount of spit that was probably in your iced tea, it was probably about 60% spit, to be perfectly honest.
I'll say this. The first iced tea, very diluted. Second iced tea, I think I got the bottom of the pitcher because it was dark the entire time, even after the ice melted. I'm like, ooh, I'm going to be buzzing from this. And now I'm drinking another caffeinated beverage. I have a problem. Yes,
you do. And I drank a Coke today. I drank caffeine for the first time in a while.
But you didn't seem different.
I felt an energy lull and I needed caffeine. I've stopped drinking caffeine for the most part, and I decided, hey, I'm gonna strap on the caffeine rodeo clown again.
Not where I thought you were going with the strap on.
Yeah, well, that's what she said.
Pegging.
We actually saw that sign at that place that said, "Oh my God, it's so big."
Oh yeah, as you're walking by.
You were in the middle of a conversation about something else. You said something. I pointed to the sign and said, "That's what she said." And you thought I was talking about what you were talking about, which is completely forgotten at this point.
Oh, I have no idea because it didn't make any. I don't think the context made sense, and I was trying to like piece it together. Like, what are you trying to fucking say?
Yeah, that's what happens. We saw drug deals going down on our way on that
Yeah,
walk.
what the fuck was that? Like, we're not in a bad part of town, but I was just following the green lights, that's all, folks, to try to get us to dinner at a reasonable time. And we had to go under the L tracks, and...
It was Clark and Lake.
Yeah.
Which is not a good area to be in to begin with.
No. Wells. We were on Wells.
Oh, but it was the Clark and Lake station.
Yes.
So, and what happened was there was people in the stairwell doing drug deals. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't like they were selling weed.
No. They were obviously buying meth or some shit.
It was either meth or heroin, because I saw little baggies and I saw strips of paper, and they stick the acid. They stick the heroin on the strips of paper.
I don't know what's bigger in Chicago. Not that I follow like different cities' drug trends, but I don't know what's big up here.
It just surprised me that in the Loop they were that blatant about it.
Because there are cops everywhere in the Loop.
Yeah, and we, sped up a little bit when we saw that.
Yeah. And our coworker was like, "Where the fuck did you take us?"
Yeah,
I'm like,
I had my phone in my hand and it went into my pocket when I started seeing that.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, so it was an interesting day. The guy the taxi that laid on his horn.
Oh my God! When he was going through the
intersection.
Yeah, he's just like the entire duration of him honking his horn. He's got his hand out the window, flipping off whomever. I don't even know who he was actually upset by.
Well, there was somebody that was trying to cut in to the turning lane, and that's who he was upset at. See, This is where I pay attention to what's going on around me. I know all of the things that are going on around. Like, you're talking about, it smells like cigarette smoke over here, and I saw the 3 people that were smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, I'm like obviously in some other realm of existence when I'm walking or something, which I'm usually very observant, but I think it's when I feel like I'm comfortable in that area. So it's like, whatever.
So here's the thing. He admits that there's many times that he's taken people on walks that they've gotten lost.
One time.
Oh.
One time.
No. It didn't sound like one time when you said it.
2 times.
Yeah.
But okay. That's it.
Okay. So how many times was it really?
Only 2. I'll stick by that number. And the first time was honestly, I was just 1 block off. But then we kept walking. So we ended up being 5.5 blocks out of route because I was 1 block east of where it should have been.
Yeah. See, Chicago's interesting because there's lots of safe areas down in the Loop, and then there's just pockets of danger.
Yes.
And I've put myself into the larger pockets of danger in the south side of the Loop at previous times. I told you there's a travel lodge that's over by the L. It's off of Wabash. I had to stay there one time because there's a medical convention in town, and every hotel was over $400, and we had like a $225 max that we could spend. So I'm at this travel lodge, and as I'm walking to it, and if you know Chicago, you know it's over by the Essex, 2 white guys are walking the other way, and one of them makes finger guns at me. I literally just made finger guns at Ryan. But it wasn't like they were joking. It was like, you're in the wrong area.
Were they trying to tell you to turn around?
I don't know what they were trying to tell me. I just started walking faster because I was half a block from that hotel, and I was getting in that hotel as quick as possible.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think anything good happens at a travel lodge anywhere in the country.
Yeah.
But let me take you back in time, not too long ago, when I let you pick a hotel one time.
Okay, go ahead and tell this story.
We were going to Boston for a business trip, and I will give you credit and a little bit of an out here that for whatever reason, Boston hotels were insane, like price-wise, and we did have to stick to a budget. You achieved that.
Yes, I did.
And we know why. And it was a Hampton Inn, is that right?
I think so, yeah. Realize this is the first Hampton Inn that I've ever stayed at, that there was a police officer stationed behind the counter.
Yep. At all times of day, too, which was strange. It wasn't like a rent-a-cop. It was a police officer.
Yep.
But what surrounded us?
There was the hospital.
Oh, I know. Also, the methadone clinic.
Yeah, they call that area the methadone mile. And so we got there early afternoon. We didn't have to be there till the next day. So I went to get myself some lunch. And it was one of the scarier experiences of my life.
Oh, yeah, you went and got pizza or something.
I went and got pizza, and it was about 4 blocks. And nobody seemed to be bugging me on my way there. But when they saw I had pizza, suddenly everybody was looking at me. And suddenly I decided my ass better start moving it pretty quick here, or I'm going to be in trouble. And of course, I get to the hotel, and I took a different way to get there because I knew there was another set of doors that I thought was closer.
Yeah.
And it turns out those doors were locked. They keep those locked during the fucking day because of how dangerous this area is.
Because I came in a little later than you that day, and we were going out to dinner, and I was like, oh, it's not far, let's walk. You're like, let's Uber. Yes. And I go, he's like, just trust me. I'll tell you in the car. Yes. And I was like, okay.
Joe, if you heard from last season, was the guy that explained to us afterwards how intrepidly bad my decision-making was in staying at that hotel. But when you're staying at a hotel from, you're booking it from 1,000 miles away.
You have no idea,
Yeah. You don't know what the surroundings are like. You can look on the satellite. It doesn't point out this person's doing meth and look at this murder happening over here. It just doesn't work that way.
No.
When you see a 4-star Hampton, which, it's not a 4-star hotel, it's 4-star rated on the Hilton app, you think, okay, it must be halfway decent. They lie, people. The reviews lie.
I mean, it was, I know you're not a breakfast guy, but it was such that I was like, we can skip this breakfast.
Yes.
I will go hungry. Yes. It's okay. Because I am a breakfast person. I get cranky anyway. But yeah, that was definitely one of those that were like, it's okay. We're going to move past this. Yep. It'll be a story for the future on the podcast we didn't know we were going to create at the time.
I had an apple juice and a muffin at that point. And that was the amount of time that we were willing to spend there.
Yeah. I mean, I will say the room was actually sizable. I do remember that. So it wasn't all bad. But I mean, we've had some weird hotel rooms, not together, of course, but like we usually stay.
He's saying not together as in we didn't stay in the same hotel room and we didn't stay in the same hotel. Let's just qualify it correctly.
And whenever we've gone to Sweden, we always stay at the same hotel.
Temperance, yeah.
That hotel has some strange fucking rooms.
Yes.
Like, I don't know if there's a single room that's the same.
Well, so I've talked about this room with you before. There's the room there's the bed area, which it has the only one-piece king-size bed in the entire hotel.
That's right, yeah.
And then it has a seating area. And then there's this long hallway that you have to walk down that has a chest of drawers right in the middle of that hallway to get to your bathroom. Okay, it's like they just couldn't punch a hole through the wall to get you right to the bathroom. You have to walk down this stupidly long hallway with this chest of drawers in it. What I didn't tell you is that there's a long smear on the floor that is red in color that literally looks like dried blood from somebody dragging somebody across that floor. Now, it's probably just the coloring of the wood.
Stone or whatever,
Yeah, that just happens to look like that. But if you go into that room, I've been in that room twice, and that streak is still there.
Well, like, I remember, I think it was the second time I went, and in the naming conventions of the types of rooms over there don't align with U.S. standards.
Yeah.
So I went for, like, the second tier up, thinking, oh, this is going to be a bigger room. No. I got, like, I think a child's junior size bed or something to that effect, a closet the size of a tiny child's fart, and a sink that I think you could maybe fit one hand in. And I'm like, what room is this? I did feel like I went to clown college in that room.
And I don't know what it is about rooms in Sweden, but every single shower is just, there's no lip. The water just runs all over the place. It's supposed to be sloped in one direction, but it never is. It's sloped in all sorts of directions. And a lot of times there's no closing of anything. Like you feel that security when you close the glass door, you take the curtain and close the curtain.
Like the hotel rooms we're in now, like they're great, right?
Yeah.
But that shit show. I'm like, I'm gonna slip on this fucking thing and I will die and no one will know.
And the last one that I was in there, it actually had two giantly curved pieces of glass.
Oh, you had the corner shower
that were bored into the wall, that you opened them. When you closed them behind you, you had like an inch and a half that you had of a gap to be able to fit in to take your shower.
It's like your ass hits the handles and stuff like that just because there's no room. Like,
Yep. And then we work for a cheap enough of a company. We're not going to name the name because I don't want to get in trouble for this. But they will actually put two people in a hotel room. They will not, unless you are willing to yourself pay for a single room. A lot of times when we have big conferences, they'll put you up with somebody else.
Yeah.
And I learned my lesson the very first time that I was over in Sweden, because the person that they set me up with was one of those people that came in 5:30 every morning still drunk.
Well, you see, your story, because you told me that before I had booked the room and like agreed to whatever, it scared the shit out of me because I was like, hey, I like my privacy. Like, let's be real. I like to just be in my own room, be in my own space. But I'm also frugal, just in life.
Yes.
And they wanted, what, like $400? Do you remember? Something like that? And it was for a week, but I was just like, fuck it. I'm spending $400. I'm getting my own one. And I am so thankful because I heard so many little miniature horror stories from that trip from other people that were like, we didn't get along. They snore all night. They come in at 5:30 in the morning. I go to bed at 9. That kind of stuff.
My favorite one is the old VP of sales, and this is going back years. He was new to the company. He hadn't met anybody yet. He had never been on site. So he flies in a little bit early and decides he's going to go for a nap. Because when you fly overseas, if you take a 20-minute nap or so, it helps with the jet lag. People say, I can't do it, but other people have done it. I've heard it's solved for it. He gets into his bed, falls asleep, gets up, and there's somebody else in his room that he had no idea who they were, because he didn't realize that he was sharing a room because nobody bothered telling him.
I mean, you also think like VP, they should probably get their own room, right? Like you've earned a level of status.
Yep.
Or you got hired. You earned it in some capacity. Like, give them their own fucking room.
Yep. And then I stayed at the Scandics, but not the good Scandics, the bad Scandics downtown.
Yeah. There is a big difference.
Yes, there is a huge difference. Still the same amazing breakfast.
They do have remarkable breakfast.
Yes, and I have not been in a hotel in Sweden where the breakfast wasn't amazing. Those Swedish pancakes are great.
Oh my God, yeah.
But there's no air conditioning.
No.
So you don't realize how much you miss that background noise when your windows don't fully seal properly, and there's a bird that likes to get up at about 4 o'clock in the morning and sing its fucking lungs out.
See, it was this last time we were there for our conference. It was kind of warmer, and I had to keep the window open, but I was so paranoid because every day I would wake up and there's a fucking seagull sitting on my open window ledge, and I'm like, have you been in here?
Just singing the song of its people?
Nope, just chilling there.
Looking at you.
Quiet.
Yes.
Which is worse.
Yes.
I forgot to tell you about that. And I'm just like, have you been like shitting all over the room? Have I fallen asleep fully and you've been just waddling around in here? I don't know.
I think that would be something you'd quickly figure out.
I mean, I never saw like bird shit on any of my clothes or anything like that, so he was respectful if he was. But
or maybe they just cleaned it up while you weren't in the room.
The bird?
No, the house cleaning. The bird went and cleaned up.
Some birds are really considerate and they're really good with cleaning cloths.
So I can tell you, I have 2 other hotel horror stories. The first one was I was going through a point in my life. I'm not going to rehash what was happening, but I had to stay in a hotel. And it was a hotel that you had to go to the bar and pay cash to get the key.
Oh.
Okay. It was $25 a night.
You're going high roller right there.
This had a shower in it that you could wash one side of you, then you had to step out of the shower to turn around to be able to get back into the shower to wash the other half.
Oh,
That's how skinny that shower was.
okay.
It had red shag carpeting in it.
Ooh.
Now, what I'm guessing is I paid $25 for the night. I'm sure a lot of people paid $25 for an hour in that hotel. It was that.
You think it was like that kind of thing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, it had a bar attached, and it's in Wisconsin. I mean, if somebody's not bringing a fellow human, then it was cows that were going in there. Something bad was happening there.
What's the best hotel experience that you've had?
Ooh, the best hotel experience. I stayed at the Delano in Las Vegas.
I've heard that's really nice. I've actually
Yeah,
never
when they
been
don't
there.
have people shooting at the people at the stadium
Yeah.
out of the windows.
Fair, fine.
Yeah, but it's part of Mandalay Bay, but it's kind of off to the side a little bit.
Yeah.
But that was a really nice hotel. It had all the amenities you would expect. We stayed at the Aria the year later, and
Yeah.
that was nice. But I still think if it wasn't for the fact that the Delano is so far from the main part of the strip,
Yeah, that
we
is
would have
far.
stayed there again. But we decided to stay at the Aria to try something else out.
I mean, I've heard good things. Maybe it was from you, but I think from a few other people.
Yeah. There is a travel lodge there I want to try, though.
Why stay there when you can stay at Circus?
Oh, well, they tore down Tropicana,
I know.
and they're going to tear down Rio, the Rio, too.
Not Rio. Oh my gosh, Treasure Island.
That one's getting shut down. It's not getting torn down.
Oh, it's not getting torn down.
I don't believe so.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Rio, I didn't think they're tearing down.
I thought they were tearing that down. I know it shut for a while because of the bed bug infestation.
And they had a cat problem too. Yeah.
And we went to go see Blue Man Group, and then the following day went to go see Carrot Top at the Luxor. And you walk into the Luxor, and the smell of that place is just—it's like
atrocious.
It's like somebody has been sweating underwater in a basement for way too long.
And I think it's permanently baked with cigarettes.
Yeah.
So you always come out smelling like the worst, like cigarette from like the 70s.
Yeah.
Also, do you know Carrot Top has like a net worth of like close to or at 100 million?
Well, the Carrot Top that I saw looked like he was worth about $17.75 plus whatever dime bag he had in his pocket. So
I mean, is he still ripped? Like he put on all that muscle.
So the heart, you just put this memory back into my brain, and I did not want it. He actually, near the end of his show, is wearing this robe, and he opens up the robe, and he is in a banana hammock. And
you got to see Carrot Top's erection?
He did not have an erection, but he did have a string tied to it that he was flicking up and down.
Oh, God.
At least that's what it looked like. At least that's what I hope it was.
Was he at least funny at all?
He was funny some of the time, but he was pathetic most of the time. But he still looked like he had some of the muscle, not all of it.
Okay.
But he also, his hair was matted, and you could obviously tell he was on something. And
he's an interesting dude.
Yeah. My wife follows him on Twitter and Instagram and all of the social medias. And I just saw somebody that was in desperate need of help. So, but I got to go back to my worst hotel
Sorry, I did interrupt you.
And you know the person that got me into this, because this was in San Francisco.
I know. Okay,
yeah.
I know where this is going.
And it was for Dreamforce, which, if you don't know, is Salesforce's yearly conference, which they hadn't run in a couple of years because of COVID.
Yeah.
So the only place that we could stay was in the entrance to Chinatown. If you've ever seen that Chinese gate,
yes,
it's like up the hill from that.
Yeah.
Okay. So the elevators, they told us they probably wouldn't work. So we were better off trying to take the stairs. My room was bigger than a jail cell, but not by much. But there was two major problems with my room. First one, my mattress did not bend. You could sit on it and it would all just compress.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it like it was so stiff.
It was so stiff that when you sat on it, like the whole thing settled in a little bit, not just where you were sitting. And then the windows didn't close. So they were throwing garbage bottles into trash cans out back at like 2 o'clock in the morning for like a half an hour, and there was no way to block out the noise.
That was like my place in Denmark, in Copenhagen. We were doing Airbnb, but in the courtyard, which is where the window faced, is also a restaurant down below, and it's a wine bar.
Yeah.
I had no idea how much wine people in Copenhagen drink every fucking night, but they put the bottles in, I guess, one by fucking one as loud as possible. Because I'm like, and they start at like 2 a.m. and I think finish at 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Because it was just like incessant. Or there was cats, or I don't know, but it was just like clanging bottles all the time.
Well, when the only time that I ever went walking around Copenhagen, I went with a couple people that we work with today. And one of them, the adventurous one that I just talked about that got me into that hotel situation, we see this, what looks like a castle. Okay, it's a hotel, but we don't know that, but it looks like a castle, which there's a couple of armed guards out front of. I won't say his name. He went to go talk to them to find out why they were there, and they had machine guns.
Shocking.
It turns out that Solomon Rushdie was staying at that hotel that night, and they had death threats against him. So anybody that was coming up, they were, motioning with the machine guns to keep on moving. And of course, that guy that I'm talking about has to go talk to them.
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah, that tracks. Yeah. All of that tracks.
We went into a cigar shop, and it was one of those beeline things where we didn't realize where he was going or why he was doing it. He opens up the door. The guy comes out of a back room and he says, "Where can I buy some pot around here?" Okay. Now, he was joking, but the guy behind the counter did not know that he was joking. And of course, he told us there's a free city inside of Copenhagen, inside of Denmark, called Christiania, and that's where he told us to go. And he was drawing us a map of it and all that sort of stuff. But that's the mentality of him, is he's got to try to put people out a little bit.
Yep.
So that they're a little bit uncomfortable, so that he can make them comfortable again, so he can have the conversation.
I love the guy.
But I'm telling you, if one of those machine guns had fired off a single shot, I don't care who I would have to use as a human shield. I was not dying for that guy that day.
Oh, man. I will say, this company has brought on some pretty awesome dreams and stuff, or not dreams, but, well, maybe for some, I don't know, but allowed some unique happenings to happen.
Yeah, well, do you remember in Barcelona when we went to that utopian housing thing that was up on the hill that had all the broken ceramics that he glued in to make benches and ceilings?
Park Güell or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've been to some unique places.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not mad at it. I mean, it's how you and I met, so.
No, we met in Sweden, not in Barcelona.
The company.
Oh, the company. Okay. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that story about how we met?
Wait. In Sweden?
In Malmo. Yes, that was where we had the dinner.
Oh.
Yes.
That.
Yes. Do you want to talk about the dinner in Sweden?
No, not really.
This man. Okay, so everybody knows here that he's out. Okay.
Yeah, I'd never met you. Oh, God.
Yeah, I get invited to this dinner. We had talked on Zoom a couple times, but I knew nothing about you. And he's talking about his husband and all that sort of stuff. And I'm just, okay, I have no problem with it. I'm kind of surprised he's being that outward with it in the first time that he's in a meeting with me, that he has no idea what my beliefs might be. And I could have had a strong reaction to it, but I didn't. I was fine with it.
Oh, yeah, you're good.
But by the end of it, everybody stands up. And what were the words that you said to me?
You want to marry me?
Yes. You asked me to marry you the first meal that we ever had together, with 6 other Swedes at the table.
Oh, my God. They still, and most of them don't work for the company anymore, but they still reach out to me about that night.
Yes. That was the oddest night because that's where you were telling me about your Tesla while I was bashing Teslas.
Oh my God. Like they were so fascinated by that was like the first time I think we had an audience.
Yeah.
But we were just bickering. Like we'd known each other for years. It was really it was fun. I was having fun with it because I think you and I both knew like this conversation doesn't matter. Like we're just having fun with it. But I mean, and I was a little tipsy, I would say, because of one of the people at the table kept ordering me the largest beers possible, and I can't say no because I'm weak. But
that's what she said.
Fuck off. Anyway, but well, this is I will say this is a first for us. This is a little bit of a transition from what we normally, because we're never really together. I mean, what, 3 to 5 times a year, maybe?
Yeah, if that. Yeah. Because, I fly to DC and you decide, oh, that's the weekend you're going to fly somewhere else.
I was in Sweden.
Yeah.
For work.
Yeah. See, he abandoned me. This is Mr. I can't find a cord. What did I do? What did I do to avoid the problem we had when we were going to tape together in Sweden?
Brought in the entire fucking microphone.
Yes. Not just a travel microphone, a full microphone setup.
But to be fair, I brought my travel mic with a cord this time around.
I did not trust you.
You reminded me, and I did it. I actually was proud of myself. I was like, I did it, yeah.
Yeah, do you remember today when we were talking about how...
Yeah, you just fucking set me up.
Your degree was in...
Oh, film and video production.
Yes. Yeah. And what did I say?
Because I didn't get the degree from Clown College?
No, it was how it's amazing that I'm the person that has to do all the editing.
Oh, that, yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's because, again, I'll echo what I said earlier. I did so much editing in that time. I'm just exhausted. My fingers hurt.
Yeah, that's the excuse he's sticking with, Clown College boy.
But I would like to try to make this happen again because I just think the energy's better. It's different. Yeah. It's organic.
And so we talked about this because honestly, what I've noticed in doing the little bit of editing we do in this show is a lot of our best material comes out before we start recording or after the official recording.
Yeah.
And I pick a little piece of it and put it into the end of the show. But just our banter back and forth is more interesting than some of the gimmicky stuff that we've tried to do.
Yeah. And then some of it is us experimenting, trying to find our way in this podcasting world. But
realize this show today is more indicative of how we talk to each other on a regular basis than a lot of the shows that we do.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing. This is what we're going to try to do from this point forward.
Yeah.
Is get it to the point where you're just getting the stupid us that we normally are stupid, not us trying to play stupid.
Right. And we're still going to do squirt games, though, to be fair. I want to make that clear because I'm still excited for that.
And I still feel dirty every single time we mention that name.
What, Squirt Games?
Squirt Games, yes. It's just, when you came up with that was the stupidest fucking thing ever.
But it stuck.
But I should have beaten you to within an inch of your life after coming up with that. Yeah.
Squirt Games.
Yes. So.
Anyway, well, I do want to thank everyone for joining us for this special edition of Repressed Humor Issues.
So we should say we are recording special episodes of Squirt Games that will run parallel to these.
Yes.
But we will continue to run this the same way that we did Celebrity Cage Match.
Yeah.
So you'll start seeing round 1 come out next week. Get your entries in for who you think will win. You can go to repressedhumorissues.com.
Yeah, we have a form.
Yep, click top 10 list. You'll see the list of the 50 celebrities. And all you have to do is put your name, your email address, and select the celebrity that you think will make it all the way through.
Yep. And I think we'll probably do the first one as a full episode because we'll just need the time.
The round 1's going to take a while because there's going to be a lot of craziness in red light, blue light with 50 people involved.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for it. I think it's a fun premise that we've come up with Squirt Games.
Stop saying it like that.
EA Sports.
Doesn't make it sound any less dirty.
It's like I'm Snake Plissken from Metal Gear Solid, but Squirt Games.
Okay, you said it like 4 times in the last minute. Please stop.
All right.
Just fucking stop. Get us out of this hellhole we're in, Ryan.
Well, thank you again for joining us. And as Dan mentioned, please email us with any feedback, questions, thoughts, ideas, repressedhumorissues@gmail.com. And please submit your entries by next week at repressedhumorissues.com.
He almost forgot the address of
I
the freaking
almost
website. You can't see it, but I can see the glazed look that comes over his eyes when he realizes, I'm over my skis. I don't remember what I'm going to say.
But listen, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Dan.
Thank you very much for joining us. I'm getting a fucking donut tomorrow, though. You say glazed, and that's why I'm like, oh, fuck, I'm going to get it.
That's why you looked like that when I said glazed?
Yeah, because I was just like, oh, my brain, it's so fucking stupid, because it's just like, oh, a donut.
I said the word glazed, and you looked at me like, why are you saying that?
Yeah, like, I'm not
I thought
hungry.
I insulted you by saying that. It turns out I just reminded you of fucking donuts.
Yeah, we're going to Stan's tomorrow. It's like, I have my 7:30 meeting, then there's a little bit of a gap. Stan's.
Oh, fuck. Where is Stan's?
It's like 3 blocks away from here. It's not bad.
We're going to Stan's.
Yeah. Our colleague will definitely be in tow for that one.
Yeah. Okay.
But,
well, for the 3rd week in a row, we have a donut extra at the end of the show.